Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Downtown Dallas, Inc. President and CEO, Jennifer Scripps.
Good morning and welcome to Downtown Dallas, Inc.'s 2024 State of Downtown. In just a few minutes, I'll be speaking with Interim City Manager Kimberly Bizor Tolbert, but first, I'm going to walk us through DDI's perception survey. And we do this every 2 years where we go and talk to the people that we serve and who live and work in downtown and really validate what do we think we're seeing and what are we hearing, but hearing it from our customers. And so we did this last in 2022. But in the meantime, we did a whole strategic plan for our organization. This had not been done in a long time, and our work every day is grounded in our mission, which is to be the champion of a clean and safe downtown and to do everything we can for the economic development and vibrancy of this community. And yes, we know there are unique districts within the downtown loop, but we are thinking about all of them and the grand total. How do we do this? We mobilize and amplify the services of the public agencies. We couldn't do it without the police and the Parks Department and economic development partners. We advocate for catalytic economic development, the convention center, possibly a new streetcar expansion, and all of the private investment that's flowing into downtown. And last, but certainly not least, is we are stewards for certain public spaces, more than 20 acres of public green space, the medians, the sidewalks, and we care and steward with many partners, our unsheltered who are in downtown. And in total, we're doing this to elevate the quality of life for all of us and for the generations to come and the visitors and all of downtown stakeholders. When we talk about downtown, there's tremendous momentum to kind of put some scope in your head. This past year, we finally broke that 15,000 resident threshold. My first 2 years, we kept saying almost 15,000. This year, we did it. We have $6 billion of economic development and currently underway. This builds on $8 billion that's already been invested in our community that we need to continue to support over the last couple of decades. 4,000 employers. We're an incredibly important business community with 20 active construction projects underway. And that accretes to incredible amenities. We have 50 residential properties with more coming, 30 hotels, and we know that number is going to grow with the convention center. All of the signature parks with 20 acres having been added of green space. What other city in the country can say that? And that really builds on our long-standing hub, as we are, for restaurants and bars and entertainment and arts. And we need to continue to grow that. We're looking at retail, all of that vibrancy. So, with all of that in mind, I'm going to dig in and tell you what the survey says. And this year, we did do things a little differently. The survey was conducted in July. We hired a FRC research group, so you didn't get a bunch of emails from us begging you to take an online survey. They had a scientific sample of residents, workers, downtown workers, as well as business owners. It's the first time we actually went out and asked people who own businesses in downtown what they were experiencing. We had a very large sample size, and we're going to start with living downtown because we feel like we are growing in authentic neighborhood development. We have over 15,000 residents, and 72% or 83% of downtown residents told us they were very satisfied with downtown living. This represented a 14% increase in the last 2 years. If you remember when we did it in the last 2 years, we were still kind of coming out of COVID. This is a dramatic uptick, and I think it is a testament to the new parks and all of the vibrancy that we've been adding when people are coming back to the city. But this is really good because we want more Madera St. Paul's. We want more Sinclairs. We want more Peridot's. We have a pipeline of residential growth that we need to continue to build. Okay, our workers, we've long been a daytime hub. What are they experiencing? Well, 72% of downtown workers come into the office most, if not all, days of the week. Again, big uptick, a 22% increase in the last 2 years. I'm seeing it and feeling it. We have more restaurants open on Mondays for lunch. So that is very, very good news. And Texas is still leading the nation on return to work. We are in line with our Texas peer cities. We are third in the country for return to work behind Miami and New York. And that was an Axios survey in July. So this is important as we continue to attract more businesses and get people back to the office and taking advantage of everything downtown offers. How do people get to the office? Well, 3 out of 4 were still a driving city, drive themselves. About 25% will take public transportation occasionally. We are working to do everything we can to look at multimodal transit. I saw people scootering in this morning in office attire. That pedestrian connection, streetcar, working with DART. This is part of our future as we continue to build a denser urban core. And we're hopeful that our continued leadership in the region for multimodal transportation continues to drive downtown development. So this is the news section. What did our business owners say? And these numbers were overwhelming. 94% of people who own businesses in downtown Dallas are extremely or somewhat satisfied with doing business downtown. We need to preach this gospel when we're attracting more owners to fill in storefronts or take an office lease downtown. And the reason why is that 81% believe recruiting talent, which is key in all businesses and scopes of work, is enhanced by being downtown. This was music to our ears, and we will be doing everything we can to get this message out so that people decide to come and grow their business and their prosperity in downtown and offer more to our downtown residents and workers. It's a virtuous cycle. Okay, so when we're talking about visitors in this survey, we're talking about people who live in Dallas but don't work downtown or live downtown. And these people that were surveyed indicated they came downtown about twice a month, which is actually a really good ratio. That means every 2 weeks, they're deciding, I want to go downtown to see a show, to go to dinner, to take friends from out of town to the farmer's market, that we are a magnet for those visits. And it really is driven by restaurants and bars, places to take their family and have those social experiences in a park or elsewhere, and then the entertainment and shopping that we provide. In looking at that mix, we also started to ask people, well, what do you want to see more of? If you work downtown or visit downtown, what would be helpful to get a little bit more of? And every 2 years, we hear full-service grocery. And this time, again, no surprise, it came out first. We have beautiful grocery stores just outside our boundaries, 2 beautiful Tom Thumbs and a Whole Foods, but we could have one in downtown. And growing our population will ultimately one day bring that about. General merchandise, the Targets of the world, that sort of thing. I'm going to talk more about healthcare and medical services in a minute. And the fine dining always comes up, but fast casual has really risen. As more people are back in the office, we know that our attorneys, architects, really anybody doesn't always have time or the budget for a full service sit-down lunch. And we have hired Retail Coach to do a retail study looking at downtown to help us figure out how we attract national name fast casual dining into some of our open storefronts to kind of round out that offering that I think will be a real amenity to everybody in downtown, from a hotel visitor to an office worker or resident. Is that not? There you go. On the medical and healthcare front, we were fascinated by this. 9 out of 10 of the respondents would like to see more medical services, ranging from a doctor or a dentist to urgent care in downtown Dallas. It is an amenity for office workers to be able to run out to an appointment and take care of something without having to get in their car and drive over to Baylor, the medical district. And what's really fascinating is those are sticky relationships, and 3 out of 4 people actually indicated they would switch providers to take advantage of this in downtown. So we'll be working to try to attract more of that into the urban core, which I think would be an amenity and a boon for all of us. So for those visitors, people indicated that they come downtown about 4 or 5 years for downtown festivals. And DDI has done an amazing job this past year of programming our parks and dramatically increasing. We're on pace to do 170 events in the parks. The Eclipse obviously was the biggest one, where we welcomed hundreds of thousands of visitors to Dallas. And we want to continue to grow this. And we have the biggest event ever coming in less than 2 years with FIFA. So growing downtown as the place where our community comes together will be a focus of ours. It is already, and it's growing. And of the people who are coming downtown, 1 out of 3 are learning about those events from Downtown Dallas Inc.'s communications. So if you are not already following us on some of these channels, please do, and encourage your coworkers or your friends to do similarly. And then I do want to undergird, we heard what everybody said about their experiences in downtown, but we weren't shy about asking, okay, so what do you think about the job DDI is doing, our core PID services, the essential, clean, and safe, right? That never goes away. And people gave us very good feedback. Interesting, because we're in the Arts District, the Farmers Market and the Arts District are largely considered to be the safest and cleanest neighborhoods within the downtown loop. And most residents and business owners are satisfied with our efforts. 70% for cleanliness satisfaction, 70% for very satisfied with safety. These numbers don't look as high as the others, and we don't typically see as high, so we take this very seriously, and we're continuing to push to do better. Interestingly, 41% were only satisfied with landscaping, and I want to thank our board and acknowledge that they passed an extra assessment for next year, and we are leaning very hard into greening downtown further by planting trees, fixing up the medians and the entry portal, and really adding some lushness and greenery beyond the parks within the urban core. So this is really, instructive as we start that work. And then when we asked people the most significant issues, and again, this survey was done in July, 9 out of 10 acknowledged that homelessness is our significant challenge. And I don't think that would come as a surprise to many of you. I do want to highlight that at the time when we were doing this survey, our amazing partners at the Office of Homeless Solutions and Housing Forward were in the process of housing over 100 people in 100 days, largely concentrated around City Hall. And that work is continuing. We know the job is not done. We're working really hard in the parks to get people rehoused. And we want to see this number going down, the 48% that believe the situation's getting worse, starting to help people see less chronic homelessness so that they believe we are getting a handle on this issue. We are so proud of our partnership, and we'll hope to watch this over the next year as we attack this issue. 72% of the residents in downtown are aware of DDIs in business, but only 10% are using our app. This continues to be a bit of a struggle. If you are not using our app, if you see anything, a trash can that blew over, a graffiti tag that's outside that you didn't see last time, please report it. Our response times remain about 7 to 8 minutes, which is incredible. We are on 7 days a week, and we want to serve. So we will continue to push this to everybody, but that surprised us in the survey response, because there's high awareness of what DDI is, but they don't know how to access it, so we got to connect those two. So in summary, the majority of residents are moderately or extremely satisfied with downtown. We want this number to remain extremely high because we believe our area is the fastest growing area of Dallas, and we want to continue that momentum. Nearly all business owners are very happy, which means we've got to let people know if they're thinking about starting a business or adding a new location, they need to put downtown at the top of their list. The key motivators for people who are coming back to the office are that we provide a unique change of scenery. We provide great places to go out with colleagues, host a team event, entertain clients, and people who go to work are more happy if they come to downtown. They go into the office more, which is a boon, right, to that collegiality that generates economic return. 70% are satisfied with the cleanliness and safety of downtown. However, we are not shying away from the 90% who recognize, like we do, that we have an issue with our homeless in downtown, and they need continued care and services to get them connected with housing. And last but certainly not least, the parks are the greatest gift that we have gotten over the last few years, and thanks to the Parks for Downtown Dallas, now the Conservancy, we are continuing to look at ways to enhance them. We heard more food, continuing to look at greening initiatives so that we have the environment for everybody that we would optimally want in downtown. I'm so glad you're here today. I feel like I'm getting to channel my Savannah Guthrie. Thank you very much. But I really want to start with, you are the first city manager I think we've ever had that is a downtown resident. And we're thrilled about that. Do you want to tell us, why did you pick living downtown, and how did that information strike you?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so very much. For me, downtown, just in general, is like a first love for me. Some of the fondest memories that I have from childhood was my grandmother picking me up on Saturday mornings and us going downtown.
That's the best.
It was a complete experience. it was an affair because we had to dress up.
I was about to say.
Yeah, we had to dress up. So I couldn't wear my school clothes because we were going to meet people downtown. It was a gathering place, and it was a sense of pride. And so for me, being now in downtown, in the 9th largest city in the country, is a big deal for me. It's almost like a dream come true. It's a very expensive dream, but it's so refreshing. That I am right in the middle of where I believe all great things about Dallas come together. Great food, great entertainment, I'm high energy. And so downtown gives me that, and I can step right outside my door and just be a part of it all. So being downtown is just great.
It can feel like summer camp for adults.
Absolutely.
On a Saturday.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah, I lose my way.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's a good thing.
I do. So truly,
I
truly
hope we got that
exciting.
on tape. That was a great endorsement. Okay, so now you have been our interim city manager for nearly 6 months. Wow, it feels like
128 days.
I knew you would know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so tell us about those first, I almost said 100 days, but 128 days. And what were you focused on? And you knew City Hall and you knew our community, so why those areas?
Yes, thank you so much for that. So let me start by saying I have the same level of excitement and enthusiasm that I had 32 years ago when I stepped into City Hall for the very first time as an intern. And so this is really a full circle moment for me. May the 2nd, when I started my tenure, it's like the stage lights just got a little bit brighter. And so I've had an opportunity to really work in that environment, truly understanding a lot of the uniqueness of our city, as well as the organization. And so on May the 2nd, which was my start as the interim city manager, I sent to the city council a plan. And let me tell you why that was important. Number one, I was not going to sit and do nothing during that period of time. It was important for me to begin to address some of the issues that I knew that we needed to tackle. And I'll talk about those issues in just a minute. But as part of that plan, one of the things that we did first up was that we needed to organize for success. We needed to truly understand that there were some natural synergies that we needed to have in the organization. And so we talked about building upon Dallas as a safe, a vibrant, and a growing city, but we needed to transform and how we could become more livable, sustainable, fiscally sound, ensuring that all of our systems, that they're strong and that they're aligned. And then it was a matter of getting the right people.
That's right.
Who could help me lead. You can't do this work alone. And so I'm very fortunate that we have a great team of individuals who have signed up for the transition, and they have done an amazing job during this period. And so I call it, the transition plan included kind of this all-star lineup of issues.
Love it.
Everything from pension to how we needed to attack the budget. You talked a little bit about that. The issues around homelessness in our city. We needed to get permits out the door. Look at recruitment and retention, and just overall, how do we communicate as a city?
That's right.
And so these became what I call the primary focus areas. These were immediate things that I knew that we could tackle, and we could hit the ground running and be able to show results for that work. And so that's what we did. What I can tell you is that for me, it's about taking the entrepreneurial spirit that I bring. My grandparents were restaurant owners when I was growing up in East Texas. And one of the things that I saw was that they focused on their customers. So as a city, we needed to learn how to be more customer-centric. We also needed to establish some self-accountability, and I know we're going to talk about accountability a little bit later. But it was taking that and taking all of that experience and pretty much channeling it towards how could we begin to make progress and move forward, and focusing.
Because it really does sound like you planned the work and you have worked that plan. I mean, it is in short order.
Yes, we've done a lot. We've accomplished a lot, but it was about the will. You know, you got to have people that are ready, willing, and able.
That's right.
I say that often, but how we could really begin to focus on this sense of urgency and operating at the speed of business.
That's right.
And that's what we've been doing over these last 100 days.
I also think everybody should work in the restaurant industry.
Oh yeah, it's
once
really
in their
fun.
life, it is the best.
Yes.
Back to customer service and
Yes,
thinking
it
on your
is.
feet.
Absolutely.
Okay. On other fronts, one of the very first things we did when you became interim city manager is you convened a meeting of DDI, Housing Forward, and a lot of city staff.
Yes.
I can't thank all of the departments, but to just say city staff is not doing it justice. To give us clear direction as we embarked on a street to home initiative to rehouse people experiencing chronic homelessness on the streets of downtown. Flash forward, as I mentioned earlier, we ultimately worked together to rehouse more than 100 people in fewer than 100 days from targeted areas in downtown. And the city stepped up with enforcement. I want to underscore that. Why does this continue to be such a high priority, and where are we in our efforts to address homelessness in downtown and really also across the city? But I know this is a priority for you.
Sure. So first of all, let me just say that was probably one of the most difficult meetings that I have been in. When you think about bringing together so many individuals who definitely, number one, frustrated. So it was not a happy meeting. It was hard. And some of y'all in the room were not that nice. But it was really about how do we address the issues collectively. You know, I tell this story that there is no way that the city will ever be able to solve every single problem without having that collaboration and that connectivity. And we talked about the principles in the introduction, is that we had to do a better job of how we connected, collaborated, and communicated. And it started right there at the table. What I heard is that the business community truly wanted to be involved in the solution, which was refreshing, although y'all were mean. So I believe that we have the work, the model has started. We have great people that truly understand the importance of it, whether I'm talking about Housing Forward, the leadership, Jennifer, that you and your team and your board brings to the table, that we have to continue to focus. When you think about the 107 individuals that we were able to house in 100 days, we have a model. And I think that model is a proven model on how we can now scale that to really focus on. There are other priority areas, even within downtown and outside of downtown, that we have to continue to focus on it. So the will is there, the commitment is there, the energy is there, and we need to keep going. And we can't rest on our heels. The enforcement is absolutely critical. I want to give a shout out. I believe that our new interim police chief, Mike Igo, is in the room. I brought him to that meeting because I was scared of all of y'all. But we definitely want to continue that momentum, and I know that commitment is there, and not only Chief Igo, but also our Chief of Public Safety, Chief Dominique Artis. So we're going to keep doing it together. That's what it's going to take.
And I want to thank you for coming to those conversations, because sometimes you're collaborating and you realize if not everyone's at the table, it's not collaborative enough something. And trying to figure out there's certain roles we can't play. There's certain roles y'all can't play. And I do think it takes everybody deciding what we're going to do and then in lockstep. And I will also just put a plug in for communication. I was laughing earlier. We have a call every Friday morning at 8:30, and we talk about how's it going this week. And in some ways, it's the most inspirational call I have every week because we see the progress, and then there's still so much more to do. So it's that keeping in lockstep that's integral and important.
That's exactly right. And I can't thank you enough for
how
and
you
hold us
Housing
accountable.
Forward. I mean, there's so many people. The Bridge, the Stew Pot, I can go on and on. And really and truly, I will say, I knew so little. I've learned so much about every case is so unique. And if people knew that problem, it's just it's a hard one.
Yeah,
so.
It's truly
and
hard
we're not
work.
giving up. Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's right, and we have the leadership and the support of the City Council. You know, I never get a call that says do less. It's always do more.
I'm looking at Jesse Morena right now.
I'm trying not to look over there at him, but
Well, okay, so given the full plate of essential services and city services, and I do want to acknowledge our amazing partnership with DBD, but public safety, fire, pensions, water, sanitation, I get that in many ways they come first because there's that is 365, 24/7. But here we are in the city-owned Community Performance Hall, which I love this venue, in our absolutely thriving arts district. If y'all were at the Visit Dallas breakfast yesterday, the arts shined as they always do. Do you want to talk about quality of life? Because the arts and the libraries and parks and the convention center, I think, is part of that. It's really important in downtown, but I want to beat the suburbs.
Absolutely.
So how do you think about those maybe non-essential areas of the city that I think are so integral?
Absolutely. Well, I think we have to focus attention on all of it. We know that downtown is our core and it's important, and we have to continue to have those focused efforts around how we make quality of life in downtown essential. And we have to factor that into everything that we do. But you're absolutely right. We have so many pockets throughout this community that have such rich cultural enhancement for our community. And so our efforts have to be broad.
Yeah.
And I think because we have such a unique story to tell, that we have that unique advantage,
Right.
that competitive advantage when you think about a lot of our suburbs. Dallas is known for being one of the most diverse cities in the country. And I think we have to capitalize on that. And the way we do it is that we have to have that focused, ongoing investment, whether we're talking about our cultural arts facilities, whether we're talking about our park and recreation facilities, our libraries. That ongoing focused investment, I think, is going to be critical. And so I'm excited that in the 2024 bond program, we're talking about $461 million dedicated between arts and between the libraries and parks. And
That's
I think
awesome.
that's going to be essential. Dallas is and will continue to be that thriving city where that global destination brings all that cultural connectivity together. And so I'm excited to be in a city that values that.
I am too. And it's funny, I was with my parents, we were talking about the libraries and what the kids were doing at the libraries, and my mom's learning Mahjong at the libraries. And I was like, it serves everybody, you know?
Exactly. Well, try closing down one.
Exactly. No, it's true, and I think sometimes you don't know what you have until until it's threatened,
Exactly.
or the roof's leaking, or
Yes.
and then you're in a pickle.
Exactly.
And I do applaud. That's an amazing sum on the bond.
Yes,
So
exactly.
congrats. Well, in case y'all don't know, we have an election coming up in 6 days.
Yes.
And there's also numerous city charter items on the ballot. We have 18 ballot initiatives that could substantially change the way the city operates. Much of the focus is on propositions S, T, and U, which are opposed by every living former mayor, the entire city of Dallas council, present and former, and many civic and nonprofit groups and leaders, including DDI. I know as a city employee, you cannot campaign on these propositions.
Call me tonight.
I know, so you're off the hook. You're off the hook on that. And I've already voted, and I voted right. No. However, I think this is an interesting way to pivot to several of the charter amendments did seem to have this theme around greater accountability, and that people think they just want accountability, right?
Sure.
How are you've mentioned it, how are you working to instill that, monitor it, and show it in your role kind of across city operations? Because I'm sure it's different depending on what the it is.
Exactly. Well, thank you for that. Let me start out by saying that I am passionate that good government is an essential positive force in the lives of everyday people that we serve. And so accountability is actually the center of good government. You cannot do it if there's no accountability. And so I take that very seriously because I think it's important. One of the first things that I did coming into the role as the interim city manager was really spending time with every single department director. I call that time departmental deep dives. So I really got in everybody's business, but that was important because we truly needed to understand the things that we do really, really well. And then the things that we don't do well, we needed to ask ourselves, why are we doing it?
Right.
And so it was really about a self-check for us. It was also an opportunity for us to kind of clean up our house.
And play to your strengths.
Absolutely, and play to our strengths and the things that we know that we need to bring others to the table, not be afraid to ask for help.
Love it.
And so to me, that's a true reflection of what accountability looks like. And then I've also spent time, I love this, I spend time out in the communities with our council members in their districts, whether that's doing tours, truly understanding a lot of the unique perspectives. If we're not on the ground, we're totally out of touch with reality, with what's going on.
Amen.
I tell my team that the community has to be our office. We have to understand what's happening before we can walk in the rooms at City Hall and begin to solve any problems. So accountability is key. I think as we work better as a team, we have cross-departmental engagement that we're doing now. It's mandatory, by the way.
Oh, good.
I participate, I'm there with the team. Because it's important for them to know that it's not only important for them to do it, but I want to be in the room, and we do it together. We also have these, what we call our City Action Strike Team. That's a real nice way to say that I'm just making sure that everybody shows up. But we definitely are doing it together. We are going through a complete overhaul of all of our data and our metrics. I mean, 50 dashboards, who's gonna go look at that? I don't have time to do that. So we've got to do a better job of truly demonstrating how we're performing and do it in a simplistic way.
On the most important things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's just no way possible to measure 50 different things for every single department and then do it
We
well.
have that struggle even at DDI.
Yes.
We're a ton smaller, but
Yes.
you can get so much information, it's hard to see where's the trend, the forest for the trees. I mean,
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So we're doing it together. It's going to really give us an opportunity to then amplify. Amplify our messaging, be more transparent, because when we talk about accountability, that goes with responsiveness, that goes with transparency, and that's how we can begin to rebuild trust. And not only rebuild the trust, but to actually maintain it. And so to me, that's going to help us with this whole accountability
And
conversation.
it's so motivating because
Yes.
there are strengths, and if nobody's seeing that as the headline, that that's getting lost.
Yes.
And so it's also about motivating people
That's
on the most important things.
Yes, the bad headlines are the only ones that sell newspapers, right? So we're gonna flood them with good stuff. I remember sitting in a room back early on, and I was there with the editor of the paper, and I said, now listen, I need 100 days of positive stories. And so I think that again, when there are issues, we're gonna own it. We're gonna tell you what we did, and we're gonna tell you how we're gonna fix it.
And that's accountability
That's
too.
accountability.
That's accountability.
Yeah. I've
And-
got this
yep.
20/80 rule. We're gonna do 20% of the problem, and we're gonna spend 80% of our time
That's
working
right.
on the solution.
Because if we don't own a problem, it's hard to fix it. So
Absolutely.
that gets you into the mindset
Yes.
of, okay, now what are we going to do? Which is exactly the way you attacked the homeless stuff
Yes.
earlier. It's great. Okay, so economic development. How do we keep this engine going?
Oh, wow.
In downtown, we've really, in many ways, been the envy of other urban centers with our dramatic population growth to 15,000 residents from just a couple of hundred 2.5 decades ago. Our property values have skyrocketed, and we've turned more than 20 acres of basically flat parking lots into green spaces. And we're seeing good momentum overall. And then if you look at the horizon, the convention center, all sorts of planned developments that are getting ready to pop, if you will. How do you think about economic development and the role the city plays? And there's also other key partners in that conversation.
Sure.
How do you?
Well, let me start with, you mentioned the word momentum. I think that we have a unique opportunity to keep that momentum going. And being a resident and living downtown and now serving, being in this role, is that is the opportunity. And I think that we have to seize it.
Right.
And we have to do it with that sense of urgency that I talked about. Whether it's looking at ways that we can do additional mixed-use development downtown. Redevelopment is where my brain always goes because I see how we can do that in certain pockets of downtown. And then we need to double down, we need to put all of our incentives on steroids. We've got to really make sure that we're going after those businesses that naturally fit in Dallas, a lot of those unique, I would say, emerging industries that I think are going to continue to be important. And when I think about the convention center, you mentioned that, that's like the supercharger.
Oh, absolutely.
It's
biggest opportunity we have.
Biggest opportunity. I think that there are so many people in this room who truly understand that we've got to do that together and that it's going to be the entertainment, the epic center for entertainment here. And so we all win if we do it right. And I think we have an opportunity to do that. But I think it's coupled back to something that you mentioned earlier, is that we've got to do our part in making sure that individuals that live downtown, I do, the individuals that work downtown, that have their businesses downtown, that they feel safe. And so we cannot ignore that.
Right.
That has to continue to be a priority. Because people want to know that they can come and, when you're living downtown the way I do, this is our community.
That's right.
This is my neighborhood.
And you're inviting all of your friends and
Exactly.
loved ones, and then when we're inviting the world for
That's right.
FIFA or convention XYZ,
Yes.
we have to, that's a bedrock.
That's
Yeah.
a bedrock. And so I think that there's opportunities. We just got to continue to connect. We got to get in the room when we disagree. But those development opportunities, I think, will happen naturally because we are Dallas.
right.
But there are things that I think that we can do together. I'm so looking forward to the great work that I know will happen with the new Economic Development Corporation. I've had multiple opportunities to sit with the new executive director, and I think she's ready to go. So we're going to take the gloves
Linda's
off,
gonna rock and roll.
and we're going to go get it done. Yes.
And I think on the public safety front, there's a lot of work happening right now.
Yes.
Looking at, we've gotten real support from Chief Igo and bringing in consultants to dig in on that. So that's to
Yes.
come. Give us a couple more weeks,
Yes.
but I think there's some highly leveraged ways we can do it better.
Exactly.
And continue to knock it out of the park there.
Exactly. I want to just jump back for just a second on that economic development piece because I think this is critical. We cannot focus on economic development if we don't fix permitting, right?
That's right.
And so let me just tell you, in 100 days, we had over 9,800 stalled permits in our system.
It's crazy.
We've cleared over half of them in 100 days. I wish today was Friday, but it's not because we have a huge announcement.
I was about to say, we all have to wait.
So just be waiting patiently, but it's going to be another indicator for how when you put your mind to it and you get a team of individuals and you bring leadership to the table, you can really make a difference. So I'm really excited about it. I can't tell y'all until I share it with the city council, so stay tuned.
Well, and thank you. I cannot wait. And I think that that's also one of those that helps the whole city.
Exactly.
And it helps us compete with our suburban
That's right.
partners so that people come here first.
That's right.
Which is great. So
exactly
congratulations,
right.
and I
Thank
can't
you.
wait till Friday.
Yes.
Is it going to drop late in the day?
We're going to try to do it early.
Okay,
I think they told me that's when news gets real popular, when it's early. So
Okay.
we're going to do it early.
Okay, you heard it here first. You heard it here first. Okay, well, this is kind of the fun stuff now. We're going to do rapid fire downtown questions.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but your favorite downtown restaurant?
So by the time I leave City Hall every night, all the restaurants are closed.
Oh.
So I'm an early morning person.
Okay.
It's nothing like getting a cup of liquid culture from the Flying Horse Cafe.
Love it.
So a shout out to Matt and his
Uh-huh.
team. That's one of my go-to spots.
That's great.
But yeah, I don't get a chance to do the dining at night.
I hear you.
Not as often as I would like to.
We'll
So
try to going forward.
I will. We're gonna make it a priority.
Good deal. When you have family in town, your son or other visitors, what are some of the things you like to take advantage of living downtown?
You know, it's interesting that you asked that question. One of my really close girlfriends is from London, and so she's in Dallas a couple of times a year, and we just have a blast. But we do it right here in the Arts District. It's like my spot because I dress up, and we get a chance to, whether it's a show, we just take advantage of it, and she absolutely loves it. And she asks me questions oftentimes that I don't understand in her British accent, but it's just so much fun. Nothing like sitting in Golden Girls.
And she's impressed with Dallas,
Oh,
which
she's
says a
just so
lot if you're
impressed.
from London.
Absolutely.
I think
Yes.
that's always,
Yes, yes,
we,
and I can actually walk.
we show off well, exactly.
That's exactly right. To
Exactly.
Hear. Yeah, so that's fun.
Is there any place in downtown that you haven't visited yet, but it's on your list?
You know what?
wanna
I'm
go see?
embarrassed to tell you, but I will. So a few weeks ago, I was in East Texas in Tyler, and we had a birthday party for my oldest sister at Dakota's.
Oh.
I have never been. I'm so embarrassed. And I'm 2 blocks
Oh, you
away.
need to get over
So
there. Yeah.
that's going to be on my list.
We'll make that happen.
There we go. So I'm really looking forward to
It's
doing
an
that.
institution, yeah.
Yes,
That's fun.
Really
I
excited.
didn't know there was one over there. That's
Yes,
cool.
in Tyler. Can you
I
believe
did not
that?
know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I learned something new. And I will say, it's hard to know. I'll walk by downtown. We were going to something the other day. I'm like, wait, that's brand new. And it does speak. If you just missed a block,
Just missed a block,
new
yeah.
store's there. So, okay, well, we're about to wrap things up. Everyone in Dallas political circles assumes you have applied for the full-time city manager job. Can you confirm for us that you are interested? Can you confirm
Can y'all
for
see the
us-
look on my face?
Literally, we keep waiting that you are interested in dropping the interim title.
So the way I'll answer that question is I take this so seriously. This has been, again, I talked about the full circle moment for me. And I will continue to do the assignment that I have been charged with at this time. And so I want you just to kind of infer from this statement that I'm going to make. And I'll start by saying I've not packed my boxes.
Good.
And I'm not sitting.
You haven't had time.
I haven't had time. So no boxes. I haven't packed anything. And I'm definitely not sitting behind my desk looking out the window eating bonbons.
No.
But it's about the work, and it's about keeping my focus on what I've been asked to do right now. I do believe that, that I've made a good decision about where I'm going.
Okay.
And I look forward to talking about that at the right time and really going through and seeing how that process is going to unfold. I know I did not answer the question.
But I'm still optimistic. Well, it's very apparent that you just hit the ground running.
Yes.
So the focus on the work is to be applauded. We are so grateful for your leadership. I mean, 13,000 employees and
Yes.
$4 billion in budget. It impacts every single one of us,
Yes.
and it will for the future because of things like permitting. And it is a massive responsibility, and you do it with such joy and smile and enthusiasm, and you're indefatigable, I think is the word. So thank you also for making time to join us today. I've enjoyed this,
Yes.
and I hope you have too.
I have. There's nothing like 15 bosses. Who wouldn't sign up for that, right?
I know.
But I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is a partnership, and definitely one that means so much to me.
Thank you.
The work that you all do and what you bring to the table, we cannot do it without you. So I
Thank
want to
you.
thank you,
Thank you.
For the ongoing leadership that you provide to DDI. You actually make my job a lot easier.
I try to.
And so just as long as you protect me in the room
Thank you.
with those business leaders. Yeah. So thank you all.
Please join me in thanking Kim. Thank you. Kim, thank you so much. I want to start by taking a moment to thank the sponsors who have made today possible. Our presenting sponsor, Matthews Southwest. Our VIP breakfast sponsors, Headington Companies and The Jewel, JBJ Management. Our general breakfast sponsor, Madeira St. Paul by Mill Creek Residential. Our media sponsor, Dallas News Corporation. And our advocate sponsors, 400 Record, AECOM Hunt, Clear Channel Outdoor, DCEO, Gensler, HKS, the Men and Women of Hunt Consolidated, and Encore. And thank you also to our partner sponsors, parking sponsor, and name tag sponsors, which you can also review in the digital event program. I also want to take a moment to recognize the Dallas City Council members who have joined us today. Paul Ridley, who's downtown's District 14 representative, Chad West, and Jesse Moreno, and I hope I didn't miss anybody who came in after we counted the heads. Thank you so much for your service to downtown and for joining us today. We have so many integral partners at DDI, and I want to thank the professionals and the leaders at the city, the county, and other agencies who are here today. I saw many of you. We could not do what we do to create the vibrant downtown without your partnership and your leadership, so thank you all for attending today's conversation. And thank you to each and every one of our DDI members. Your support and advocacy and feedback and enthusiasm for downtown makes what we do possible, and we could not do it without your support. I want to close today by thanking the DDI team who works for months to make today happen. Gary Johnson, Monica Gonzalez, their teams in marketing and membership engagement. A big shout out to Shalissa Perry, who oversaw the perception survey and does so much to drive the downtown experience and to take that feedback and to continue to make it more lively and more vibrant. And all of our team members. I also want to thank Ensemble, our production team, and Integrity Audiovisual, who helped make the presentation come alive.